Let me give you a little story about two different clients. Client A, panicky, hires the most aggressive, most expensive attorney they can afford. Let's say a year and a half in, they're over budget and things are just deadlocked. Everything's a fight, spiraling, no hope of resolution. Client B, though, understands a 24-hour pause, understands the budget, time, energy, emotion, money, and been asking their attorney, how important is this on a scale of 1 to 10 to my long-term goals, thinking about the future. They're not necessarily happy. They're in a divorce, but they're thinking more clearly. What's the difference between these two types of clients? One understood the system a little bit more before stepping into it. So I want to give you a scouting report. First, I'm going to talk about, in the next few episodes in this series, the 4 attorney styles. You got the swarmer, the brawler, the boxer, the top dog. Don't worry, I'm just naming them. We're going to go deep into these in future episodes. We're also going to talk about choosing your attorney. And we're going to learn the difference between a trusted advisor, someone who tells you what you need to hear, versus an expert for hire, someone who tells you what you want to hear. And we're going to understand the difference between an attorney's role and your role. Do you know what the difference is? Well, let me tell you, if you don't know. The attorney role is you're the president. You make decisions. That's your job. The attorney's the general. They carry out your decisions. Right? You got to understand that. We're going to talk about mediation and the 2 doors to mediation. The front door, which is the voluntary way of going about it, lower budget, save you time. Some people can do it in the front door. Some of the wiser people could do it in the front door. Or we're going to talk about in the back door. What's the back door? This is when you spend years in court and you finally get to the judge. You know what the judge tells you? After spending all that time, money, and energy going to court, go back to mediation in most cases. Unless maybe there's domestic violence, and the judge wouldn't recommend that generally. We're also going to talk about how court works. It's a little scary going to court first few times. And the big difference between mediation and going to court is you're losing control. Yeah, mediation, you don't move forward on anything unless there's mutual agreement. You and your co-parent have to agree. In court, the judge may make everyone unhappy. They make the decision. So you're going to learn about conferences and hearings where you give testimony. What's the difference between those two? We're going to learn about advisory opinions and directions. And we're going to talk about what judges notice. They're human. They're biased. They're watching your behavior. That's why we're doing all this work, because they're checking your emails, the texts, your composure. All those little things in closer cases matter. And they may persuade the judge to rule against you if everything else is relatively equal. We're going to talk about when fire is necessary. 95% of cases settle, and they can settle sometime in the court system. I don't mean they settle before court. Some cases go on for, years in court, but they still settle. But I would say 5%, maybe a little less than 5%, need a trial, need a decision. And we're going to talk about how to deal with those types of cases so you can fight smarter. So what's my core message? My core message is the attorney is the general. You are the president. The general recommends, the president decides. And this whole podcast, my book, my teaching, is you need to be a smarter president before you give your general a mission. And that's why we focus on the inner game so much, because if that's the foundation. That's what we're building the house on. All right, let me give you a little action step to start this process. I want you to think about 3 qualities you need in an attorney. 3 qualities. Not a name, just qualities. Do I want someone who's abrasive? Do I want someone who's compassionate? Do I want someone who's knowledgeable? Whatever the 3 qualities are, effective. Put them down and keep that list. Think about these when we go over attorney styles. All right, so this is the final layer in the Get Clarity system. So you're going to have hopefully less surprises when you start getting going. It's still going to be hard, get going. That's where the rubber meets the road. Next episode, we're going to go with an overview of the 4 attorney styles. I'm Corey Shapiro. Let's step forward with clarity together.
This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area